In the name of God, the compassionate, the most merciful. Madam President, honorable colleagues, at this critical juncture our world faces an unprecedented situation where the fundamental values we collectively uphold, humanity, justice, and integrity, are under severe and systematic assault by an occupying power whose policies embody entrenched discrimination, unrestrained territorial expansionism, and blatant disregard for international humanitarian norms. After nearly 2 years of relentless and indiscriminate military assault, the Palestinian people, particularly in Gaza, are enduring mass killings, forced displacement, deliberate starvation, and the systematic destruction of civilian life, infrastructure, and cultural heritage in flagrant violation of international law and the most basic standards of morality. This devastation is not confined to Palestine alone. Israel's repeated acts of aggression against neighboring countries further destabilize the entire region and pose a grave threat to international peace and security. Decades of concessions, diplomatic initiatives, and normalization efforts, presented as pathways to peace, have failed to halt Israel's crimes or end its illegal occupation. Instead, they have emboldened it to intensify expansionist, racist, and colonial practices. The consistent disregard for numerous United Nations resolutions, coupled with repeated Security Council vetoes and sustained transfers of advanced weaponry, has shown that current approaches, though proclaimed as decisive, cannot achieve their stated objectives and in fact perpetuate impunity. A just, lasting, and sustainable solution will remain out of reach unless the international community moves beyond rhetorical commitments and adopts binding, enforceable resolutions that address the root causes of the crisis, ensure genuine accountability, and uphold the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people. Madam President, the Islamic Republic of Iran has consistently and unequivocally called for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire in Gaza, alongside unimpeded humanitarian access and a comprehensive program for reconstruction that fully respects the rights, dignity, and aspirations of the Palestinian people. Iran also reiterates its unwavering support for the Palestinian nation's steadfast resistance to occupation, foreign intervention, and apartheid policies. We affirm that lasting peace can only be secured through the complete termination of occupation and the full realization of the independence and sovereignty of the State of Palestine. This process must be anchored in the genuine will of its original inhabitants, Muslims, Jews, and Christians alike, expressed through a free, fair, and inclusive referendum, as outlined in document STRO 2019-862. In conclusion, Madam President, Iran emphasizes that any viable solution must rest upon firm recognition of the Palestinian people's inalienable right to self-determination, the categorical rejection of all forms of marginalization, ethnic cleansing, or forced displacement, and the guarantee of the full and equal participation of every segment of Palestinian society in shaping their national future. The international community must therefore urge the Security Council to recommend Palestine's admission as a full member state of the United Nations, while also ensuring accountability for Israel's war crimes, acts of genocide, and prolonged illegal occupation. This must include the imposition of targeted sanctions and the suspension of Israel's membership in the UN, in order to safeguard the credibility, legitimacy, and moral authority of this organization. I thank you. I thank the distinguished representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran and give the floor now to Malaysia, followed by Pakistan and Algeria. Malaysia. Thank you, Madam President. Malaysia commends the initiative of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and France, which has received overwhelming support from UN member states. Malaysia fully supports the collective efforts of the international community in advancing a just and durable two-state solution and in ensuring the recognition of the State of Palestine. This collective global commitment to the two-state solution and recognition of the State of Palestine must be regarded as a pivotal step toward ending Israel's colonization, its illegal occupation, and its entrenched politics of dispossession in the occupied Palestinian territory. It is within this context that Malaysia expresses its firm support for the draft resolution endorsing the New York Declaration. At the same time, Malaysia wishes to state its position clearly. Any initiatives that aim to advance the two-state solution must not be driven solely by narrowly defined or politically manipulated security concerns at the expense of the Palestinian people's security and their inalienable rights, including the right to self-determination and the right to statehood. Palestinian statehood is not a privilege nor a reward. It is an inherent and inalienable right. Its realization must not be made contingent upon preconditions or external pressures. Security, moreover, must be guaranteed for all peoples of the region, certainly not for one party or country alone. Malaysia has consistently called for the establishment of an independent and sovereign state of Palestine based on the pre-1967 borders, with East Jerusalem as its capital. This includes the recognition of Palestinian sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the right of return for millions of Palestinian refugees, all of which are guaranteed under international law and must therefore form an indispensable part of any just and viable solution. Madame President, our collective efforts must be genuine, not guided by political expediency or domestic considerations. They must be anchored in international law, respect for human dignity, and a genuine commitment to peace, stability, and justice for all. In implementing the New York Declaration, its shortcomings must be openly acknowledged and addressed. There must be concrete commitments from UN member states, with a time-bound action plan to protect and preserve the fundamental freedoms of the Palestinian people and to guarantee their right to statehood. This requires respecting the will and aspirations of the Palestinian people, ensuring their security, including through Israel's immediate withdrawal from the occupied Palestinian territory, granting full diplomatic recognition of the State of Palestine, and enabling socio-economic development for its people. Malaysia fully supports the UN's mandate and role in providing aid and development assistance to Palestine, including the indispensable work of the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA. At the same time, the international community must ensure that Israel is held accountable for its persistent violations of international law, including the crimes of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. Justice must be delivered, including through reparations for the Palestinian people who have endured generations of dispossession and oppression. This is Malaysia's clear expectation. Our vote in favor of the resolution reflects our unwavering solidarity with the Palestinian people and our deep commitment, alongside the international community, to realizing peace, stability, and prosperity across the Middle East. For this declaration to hold true meaning, its first and most urgent outcome must be to bring about an immediate end to Israel's ongoing war and atrocities in Gaza. I thank you. I thank the representative of Malaysia, and now give the floor to Pakistan. Thank you, Madam President. We should indeed grow accustomed to saying Madam President in this hall, and more frequently across the UN system. Pakistan has voted in favor of the resolution just adopted, thereby reaffirming our long-standing and principled position on the question of Palestine, rooted in the inalienable right of the Palestinian people to self-determination and the establishment of an independent, viable, and contiguous state of Palestine based on the pre-1967 borders, with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital, in accordance with relevant United Nations resolutions and principles of international legitimacy. Without prejudice to this principled position, Pakistan has endorsed the outcome document entitled The New York Declaration on the Peaceful Settlement of the Question of Palestine and the Implementation of the Two-State Solution, issued following the high-level international conference convened in New York from 28 to 30 July. This endorsement reflects Pakistan's consistent commitment to the realization of a just and lasting peace. Pakistan strongly condemns the ongoing Israeli aggression in Gaza, which has already claimed the lives of more than 64,000 people. The relentless bombardment and destruction of homes, schools, hospitals, and civilian infrastructure constitute egregious violations of international humanitarian law and have inflicted immeasurable suffering upon the Palestinian people. Equally alarming are the continuing attempts by the occupying power to expand illegal settlements across occupied Palestinian territory, in flagrant defiance of international law and repeated Security Council resolutions. These actions deepen the humanitarian catastrophe, deliberately undermine the prospects for a two-state solution, and perpetuate instability in the region. Israel's unlawful actions and its blatant violations of international law across the Middle East endanger not only regional peace and security, but international security at large. it must not escape accountability. Pakistan therefore calls for an immediate, unconditional, and permanent ceasefire across Gaza and all occupied Palestinian territories, as well as full and unimpeded humanitarian access to the besieged and starved Palestinian population. Lasting peace requires a credible political horizon, one firmly grounded in international law. For this to materialize, the occupation must end, because it remains the root cause of instability and conflict in the Middle East. The convening of the International Conference on the Two-State Solution, co-chaired by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the French Republic, was a timely and necessary initiative. It has succeeded in generating renewed momentum and in translating international commitments into tangible steps aimed at advancing the long-overdue realization of the Palestinian people's right to self-determination and statehood. This initiative must now be followed by sustained, coordinated international action to finally deliver the long-coveted peace, stability, and justice that the people of Palestine and indeed the broader Middle East desperately seek and deserve. I thank you.